have an important question. And that question is, what makes a mansion a mansion? Like, is it the size of the house? Or is it the amount of money you spend on the house? Or is it the style of the house? Like, it has to be modern. You can't have like an old school mansion. Actually, I've already answered that question for myself. Yes, you can. But yeah, it's more about, is it the size or the money aspect that makes a mansion? Because that's where I'm getting a little bit stuck. I do not have time. Well, I do, but I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I don't have time and I'm lazy and I don't like building on 64 by 64 or even 50 by 50 square tile lots because I don't have time for that. I'd like to be the person that could dedicate the 10 plus hours it requires to build houses like that, but I'm just not. I still like doing big, beautiful house builds with all the bells and whistles, with basketball courts and indoor spas and like all of that jazz. But at what point do you consider a house a mansion and not just a really big house? Please let me know in the comments below, because I'm considering today's build to be a mansion, but I just want to make sure that everybody who watches the video thinks the same thing so that I'm not misleading anybody with clickbaity titles. But for all intents and purposes, this house is on a 20 by 40 lot, so it's long and skinny. And it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got formal dining and lounge, a bar area, an indoor gym, a huge pool. It's got only 3 bedrooms, but it's massive. It's got an executive office. Mansion, right? If you like the build, please give it a big thumbs up. Pop a comment down below on what you think is considered a mansion. And I'll see you next week. We're going to be doing a build every single week. We've already got heaps in the bank, so consider subscribing to the channel, please. Okay, bye. I'll see you in the next one. Cool, so just jumping in now, we are on Sandy Run, which is a lot in Newcrest, and it's 20 by 40 tiles, so it's quite long. And I liked the idea of having the backyard out the front of this house, and we're doing a mansion today. So I've actually built a whole bunch of mansions already in Newcrest with the intention of making speed builds, but the thing that I have learned about mansions is that they take time. I think I've spent something like 10 plus hours on some of the mansions that I've built. And when it comes to the editing process of those videos, my God, it's just agonizing. It takes hours and hours to edit, and there's only so much you can speed something up without giving someone an epileptic fit, because it's just ridiculously quick and you're changing camera angles all the time. So I've got those on the back burner for a while, so instead I decided I would make a mansion with the intention of specifically doing it for the YouTube community and not changing camera angles every 2 seconds and having more of a plan. So I planned the process of this house out before I sat down to film it to avoid changing the camera angles all the time, which allows me to speed it up so that I can get all of the video into sort of half an hour, so that you're not sitting there watching and listening to me talk for hours on end, which is what it would have been if I had done a speed build with some of the previous houses I've already built, some of the previous mansions. But we are doing a mansion today, and it's very sort of like Hollywood tropical sort of inspired. It's very boxy, and it has a bit of a diagonal second story, and the rest of it downstairs is almost like a glass roofed sort of open plan living and dining, which we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, I'm just sort of blocking everything out now. I've got a lap pool out the front and a fountain, so it's quite bougie, but I liked the idea of sort of having this really grand walkway up to the front door, which is those big sliding doors that you can see on the right, and sort of, you know, having the ability to put a lot of nice landscaping in as well. So you'll see that, I'll get to that in a bit, but for the moment now I'm just adding in all my windows. The benefit of using the single tile length windows that aren't double tiles or whatever is that no matter whether your walls are an even or an odd number, you're not going to get those weird gaps or line breaks in your window design. So that's why I've chosen to use those here. I do love these windows. I think I used them in my last build. In fact, I know I used them in my last build. And I just can't get away from them because they're just so easy and bring so much natural light in, which I think is super important, whether it's in The Sims or in real life. I do take a lot of the building inspiration from real life, and I like to make builds that are quote unquote functional, as my boyfriend Julian would say. He's always making fun of me because I literally make the most functional houses where I'm envisioning myself living there. So I'm thinking about the different areas and where I'd hang out with my friends and have barbecues and all of that. So it's less whimsical maybe than he would like, but I'll try and do that in the future. But today is a very practical house. It's a family home. We've got 3 bedrooms and it's all very lavish. There's lots of bathrooms. Every single bedroom has its own ensuite. There's also a family bathroom, a really cool study, and sort of like a family room upstairs. So again, we'll get into all of that when we get on the inside of the build. But otherwise, while I'm just building out the outside for now, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone because it is the start of 2021. I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on what 2020 was like because we all know it was a tough year, but I'm actually really grateful for 2020. It was in some ways a really great year for me, which I feel very blessed and lucky to say. I was able to work from home, which was just so fantastic. I was able to keep my job, which I know a lot of other people weren't able to do, and even more so than that, my job was just so unbelievably accommodating. They gave everybody a computer. They really facilitated the whole process, which was just unbelievable. And it allowed me to sit side by side with my partner in my favorite place in the world, which is my little house, and get my job done that way. So I feel really grateful for sort of the reality that 2020 brought and the hindsight that I'm actually incredibly lucky, which is always a good feeling. I think practicing gratitude all the time is really important, and that's definitely something I want to focus on going into 2021. I'm one of those people that do like New Year's resolutions. I think that it's kind of nice to hold yourself accountable to a goal. I think you should be setting goals all the time. I don't think it should be just at the new year, but my goal for the year is to be a little bit more patient and also to really just dedicate myself to doing things for myself. You know, passion projects, really focusing on things like this, making content for myself, painting, drawing. I am a visual artist, and that's something I've been putting on the back burner for a while now, and I really want to start focusing on that again and motivating myself by working, really. So that's a goal for me. Let me know if you guys have any goals for yourselves that you want to share in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, really. I'd also love to hear any feedback you might have on my builds. I really want to get better at this whole speed building thing. As I mentioned, I've learned a few things from trial and error, like not moving the camera too much so that I don't give you all a headache, and not dwelling too long in the build by menu, sort of cutting out sections where I'm being a little indecisive. I do think it's really important to have the freedom of planning as you go as well. Whilst there's planning you can do ahead of time, I do think it's also important to be able to just get in the game and just see what works while you're in there. If you're not doing speed building specifically and you're just doing this for yourself, then absolutely, you don't need a plan at all. You can just go to town. But if I wasn't going to share this and have to edit it, then I would do the same. I'm one of the most indecisive builders ever. I literally spend ages looking for stuff and changing my mind, changing the wallpaper. So I need to get better at that for the speed build side of things. But other than that, if you're just playing the game for fun and you're not doing any content related stuff, go for it. Be as indecisive as you want. Make heaps of decisions. Spend that 20 hours building your house of your dreams. It's worth it in the end. I feel like every piece of effort that you put in just comes out in the way that it looks. And anyway, I'll get back into talking about the build now. So I've just finished landscaping that sort of grand entranceway that you can see. So what I've done is use palm trees along either side. It's a very Hollywood kind of entrance where you walk in, look up, and you see all of the palm trees overhead. So I've mentioned in my last build, but I'll mention it again, is that a good tip is with plants and landscaping is not to use too many different types of plants. So I made the decision early in this house to stick with tropical plants because that was what looked best in the walkway, and that will sort of filter back through to every other area that I landscape. I think it's important to do that for a sense of realism. Again, if you're going for a more whimsical vibe with your builds, then don't listen to me by any means, but I like to think of what these houses would look like in reality if they were built. And so I like to keep things sort of streamlined with the landscaping and keep it all in sort of one family. So the tropical vibe is what I've gone for here. The hedge out the front doesn't really match with the tropical vibe, so I do end up changing that fence out the front and making it a little bit more modern to fit in, which we'll see later. But for now it's a hedge. It will change though. But I'm really happy with how this all turned out, my outdoor sort of area, which is at the front. I just think if I lived here, it would be the sickest house ever. So again, when I say I think of reality, I think about what I'd like to do or see at a house like this. So I've got my cool must-have entertainers area out the front there with the table. I end up popping a barbecue in as well. And because this is a family house, I figured a little bit of play equipment wouldn't go astray. And I think that with the monkey bars in particular, they're quite modern looking. So even though they're kids equipment, it's not garish. It's not like, ooh, that's ugly. So I have that on the front there, and I like putting sand underneath my monkey bars because it helps, like your kids can actually play with sand sculptures as well underneath it. So it's kind of a bit of a 2-in-1 kids area. But then the other side of the garden where the pool is sort of the adults area. So we've got the barbecue, as I said, out the front, and then this awesome sunken lounge. I love this. I initially was going to put like a little garden bed section next to the pool on this side, but I ended up changing it to this sunken lounge. And I feel it like you would lie on top of that and sunbake, or on next to it on those little towels. And I'm also really happy with the pool as well, in that I've sectioned it into a lap section and sort of just an everyday, fun play section at the back where it's a bit deeper so you don't get in the way of people that are doing laps. And I recently got Get Together, the pack, and I'm obsessed with it. It has so many cool things. And one of the things that it has in Get Together is the tiles that go onto the pool that section it as a lap section. So I put those in as well, you'll see in a bit. But for now, I'm just adding a little bit of, decorations. I've got some speakers next to the pool there as well, because if you're having a pool party, you need some sick tunes. And there you go, there's those pool tiles I'm just adding in now. I think that they just add a sense of realism that is so cool. And they're really bougie. Like if you've specifically got a section of your pool dedicated to swimming laps, you've made it. I mean, come on, realistically. So that's pretty much it for out the front. I've left the roof of the front section of the house green. I just think that that's quite nice. I've done that in a lot of my builds now. I just think that it's sort of a nicer lookout if you're on that top balcony than staring out at just a concrete roof. I just think it's a little bit nicer than that. And so now I'm just looking at outdoor lighting. I'm lighting up each of the palm trees from underneath, because I think that just gives such a sense of grandeur and luxury as well. I'm not stoked with all of the sconces and wall lights that we have just in all of the games and the packs. I would normally use custom content for a lot of the outdoor lighting that I do, but because this is a build that I want you guys to be able to download from the gallery, my ID for that is Brownflowersims. Because I want you to be able to download stuff, I stuck to no custom content in this build. I will be doing builds with custom content in the future. I'm really sorry if you are someone who is on a console or who just doesn't like modded content or custom content in their game, or doesn't understand it, or for whatever reason just doesn't use it. I am sorry to those people for future builds, but it is literally such a joy using custom content. I love it. So I will be using some custom content in the future, just a pre-warning. We're now at the back of the house, which is directly off the kitchen area, so I liked the idea of it just being a cute little sitting area, somewhere to relax, maybe have a drink. And I also put in those garden beds, and you'll see me pop in some trees in a moment, some fruit trees, because I figured this would be a really nice house for Sims that are in the culinary career, or maybe they're gardeners, and they've just got a cute little fruit garden out the back. So that's that area. It's pretty simple otherwise. I've used the same plants that you saw before out the front for the tropical vibe. And now we're inside. And I do apologize, when I was recording this, I accidentally skipped the recording of the wallpaper and the floors inside. So I am sorry. I didn't intend to skip it. I know that people get a bit upset sometimes when you don't show every aspect of the build. So rest assured, it is literally just all of those little saucer downlights and the wallpaper and floors that have been done off camera. In terms of the kitchen, I do end up changing all of the countertops to something a lot more modern. I started off with this kind of country vibe, which I liked, but it just doesn't match the rest of the house. So I'll end up changing those. But what I keep from the kitchen is the sort of layout. I feel like in a lot of the bougie, really expensive houses, it's almost like a very YouTube thing as well when you look at a lot of house tours. The double island benchtop situation, that would just be the sickest thing ever, to have two huge islands, one for preparation, one for eating at, whatever. I mean, if you've got a house this big, you can definitely afford the space for it. So I figured I'd try that in this one, and I'm really happy with how it looks. So let me know what you guys think as well. But otherwise, I've gone for really modern appliances. And in terms of the wallpaper, I've used like a washed stone. I don't know, it looks like sandstone to me. I think it's beautiful. It's just a little bit warmer and it makes it a lot less clinical while still looking really modern. And in terms of the floor, I've used the same floor inside as well as all the outdoor areas, because I think that, again, with mansions in the real world, that sense of continuity from indoor to outdoor comes from having the same tiles throughout. So this is listed, this floor, as like a timber, but I don't think it looks like timber at all. I think it looks like sandstone. So I've used that. It matches really nicely with the furnishings and the floor and the wallpaper. And it matches again with these new bench tops that I'm putting in. So you're just seeing me switch out the bench tops now for that really modern sort of look. And these come with, the patio stuff pack. Perfect patio. I think that's probably one of the best stuff packs there are, to be honest. It's so modern and nice and fresh, and I love everything in it, which is very rare for a stuff pack. So if you're looking for one that's really good for build buy items, then definitely get Perfect Patio. It's definitely worth the money. And otherwise, I'm just cluttering up the kitchen now and then removing some clutter. I think that you have a very fine line to walk when you're doing really modern builds, because there's a lot less clutter generally in houses that are more like show houses. But because I am doing this as a family home, family mansion, family modern mansion, whatever you want to call it, I wanted a little bit of clutter here and there. So you'll notice I've got the coffee bags up top and a few little cooking items around the stove there. And I do remove some of those little paintings along the wall, but otherwise it's quite minimal clutter compared to what I might normally do in the kitchen. And of course, I'm putting in a television because every expensive house has a kitchen with a television in it, so you can watch the cooking show or cooking channel whilst you're actually cooking for a bit of inspo. And now I'm moving into what will be the formal dining room. I've got quite a few friends who are interior designers actually, and something that they've talked about a lot is the importance of creating zones within your home, especially if you've got open plan living, because it's very easy to have your space look like just this enormous, barren sort of empty space if you don't zone things correctly. So I'm creating a zone, if you will, for the formal lounge by using both rugs and a fireplace as an anchor point for that zone. So everything is centered off that, and also the painting on the left there, which is quite nice. It's just off to the side from where you walk in that big sliding front door. And then the way that I ended up zoning this back section is with in another fireplace actually, but I build it into the space. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just getting that sandstone wall and creating a box with it, which I'll put windows into in a moment. And the coffee table that comes with City Living that has like flames in it, or like it's got fire in it or whatever, I put that inside there because you can auto light it. You can actually light it yourself, so it doesn't matter, your Sims don't have to be able to get to it, but it creates that illusion of a fireplace, which is pretty cool. So on the other side of that little dividing wall in this zone, if you will, is the sort of entertainment space. So I've got a bar in there, and I end up putting a what do I put there? I think I end up putting a ping pong table there instead of what you currently see now, which is the formal lounge. And you can see I'm switching the formal lounge to the other side, creating a zone there as well, which is anchored off that central pillar with the TV and another rug. So creating zones, I'm trying to be as mindful as I can be of the advice that I get from my friends that are interior designers, because I really want to make these houses realistic, you know? Maybe that's lame. Maybe that's not what most people do on The Sims. Maybe that's something that I just like to do, but I just am obsessed with builds that are all about form and function, and I see them as houses in the real world. Let me know if you're the same, if you think that too, or if you're more like my boyfriend who wants to create, you know, tree houses and magical castles and houses with moats and whatnot around them, which is rad. I just don't really know how to do that. So maybe that's something I'll try in the future, who knows. But anyway, we're moving into the main bathroom now. There is a bathroom for every bedroom in this house, so this bathroom is sort of just an extra one. I imagine it's for the people who've gone into the gym, who don't want to walk all the way back upstairs. The parents can't be bothered, so they can shower down here or bath down here. And obviously when guests come over, I imagine that this would be the bathroom that they use. And I tried this sort of weird timber look thing at first, and I mean, it did not look good, so I changed it. But yeah, you can just see me messing around with that now. Again, as I said, like having a bit of indecision in the game and not knowing exactly what things are going to look like is, in my opinion, quite a good thing. You can experiment and have happy mistakes that you sort of stumble across. But for the most part, this bathroom is very plain. I wanted all the bathrooms in the house to look similar, so I just went with a really like calming white palette for each of the bathrooms. So they all look the same. I think I do show every bathroom in this build so you won't miss any of them, but for the most part they're all based off that sort of zen grey marble look. And in the gym next door, I've gone really plain and simple, just a couple of exercise machines, some yoga mats, and a couple of little decorations here and there. But I do love that this room looks directly out onto the pool. I feel like if you were doing yoga there in the morning, it would be just so calming and zen. And in the hallway, this is directly outside the kids' bedrooms. I've got a teenager's room and twin little girls' rooms. So outside of their rooms in the little hallway, I've created this sort of like junk cabinet where you can chuck your backpacks from school or whatever, just to give it again a bit more of that homey vibe. Upstairs is a lot more homey, and downstairs is a lot more for entertaining and guests and the clean area, if you will. And then the bedrooms is sort of where you can unleash. That's one of my favorite things about The Sims with bedrooms for kids and for teenagers, is that you can just go wild. Like you can just chuck everything in there and nothing looks out of place, because in reality, kids and teenagers don't really care too much for interior design. I mean, I'm generalizing. I'm sure there's some people that really take a lot of pride and care in setting up their bedrooms, but when I was a teenager, I used to get Vogue magazines and I would cut all of the pages out from inside of like 2 or 3 of the magazines, all the photo shoots and the really beautiful ads and the models and all of that, and I would stick them in like a grid pattern across my whole bedroom wall. I forgot that I did that. How wild, but I did. See, look, The Sims bringing up some old memories for me. But I used to do that, and so when I'm building out teenagers' rooms and kids' rooms, I just kind of go for it. I don't really have too much of a plan as such before I get in there and start it, but I did create this house for a family that I had in mind, which is the teenage boy whose room I'm building out now is a gamer slash, brainiac, really smart, takes school really seriously, is a bit of a nerd. So I've got him all of the good stuff in there for that sort of lifestyle, like lots of gaming stuff and electronics and TVs and what have you. And then in the little girl's room, I have twins, and the twins are very girly and they're very different at heart. They have a lot of different traits and things that they care about, and that aside, they're both really girly. So I made it really pink and bright and bubblegum, and again, I just went for it with styling here. I just didn't even care. I was just like, let's just chuck it all in there, it all looks good. And thought back to my 8-year-old self, which is a long time ago now, granted. And I just thought, yeah, let's just chuck everything on the walls. So I've got lots of cute little paintings. I made everything pink. And again, I wanted to put a few little skill building things in here for these guys as well. I started out with 2 desks, but I ended up changing that. There's so many computers in this house that they can share some stuff and fight over it, you know, as is normal with sisters and siblings. My sister and I used to fight like crazy when we were little. We're best friends now, but God, when we shared a room, it was... oh my gosh, we actually used to have to put like a piece of tape down the room because my sister was messy and I wasn't. And so I'd be like, this is my side, like you can't come on my side with any of your things. And so, I don't know, God, I just think about back to those days and, oh, the times they were 2 decades ago now, nearly. Wow, a long time ago. But yeah, I'm just chucking in all of this extra stuff and I'm in their bathroom now. Again, super, 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 super simple. It's just got toilet, shower, vanity, and a cute little pink mirror with some stickers on it. Because, you know, girls and what have you love all their stickers. And just a couple of white towels. So super plain and simple. When they do age up, I'll probably need to figure out which room becomes their room. Maybe the gym becomes their room. Maybe I build a basement. I don't know, but I do like with houses that are this big that you can just expand them beyond belief, like going up or down or whatever, and it'll never really look out of place because it's so modern and boxy. But anyway, we're upstairs now in the parents' retreat, and I call it a retreat because I've again tried to be really conscious of zones in this area. So I'm using the wardrobes that you see now, which I love. Like, they're probably one of my favorite items in all of the games because they look great on the front and the back. And for some reason, EA hasn't stuck to their usual thing of creating color palettes that just are whack, you know, like pink with dark green and whatever. Like, they have really weird color palettes, but for some reason, these wardrobes are beautiful and I like using them as room dividers. So I've done that here. I've put that beautiful 4-poster bed in, and again, I'm creating even more of a zone type feeling with the rug, which is a nice big square rug. And because this room is so large, I've also got it with a little sitting room. I imagine, you know, maybe mum and dad come up here and have a wine at the end of a long day. It's like an escape from your kids, because when you've got 3 kids plus or whatever, you want to have an escape from them, I'm sure. I don't have kids yet, but I can imagine I'll definitely be one of those parents. And so this is just really basic over here. A little sitting area, a couple of chairs, an easel, painting. Super chill. I do put a rug there, but I end up removing that because that's just too much zoning going on and it just looks ridiculous. So I'm getting rid of that. And the rug that I end up going with in this side of the bedroom is just a really long sort of floor runner directly in front of the wardrobes. And then I'm zoning it again with just this little table. My mum had a table in her bedroom when I was growing up similar to this that was covered in photo frames of my sister and I just thought that was really nice. And so I've done something similar with this, with just some flowers. Maybe that's where you pop your makeup before you go into the bathroom in the morning to get ready. But I thought that was quite a nice way to separate the room because it is sort of a bit of a weird shape of a space. And then there's this tiny little balcony. It's really basic out here, just a couple of chairs and a table, sort of where you could read the morning paper maybe, scroll on your phone, check out the sunset, you know, just making it again its own little sort of retreat, little apartment space for mum and dad. And their bathroom is the same. I had to create a little nook for the toilet because otherwise the whole world can see you going, which might be really freeing for you. I'm not sure, but I figured, it might not be for everyone, so we'll change that and put that little wall divider in there. And for the most part, it's all, again, really basic. I've just tried to make it a bit more bougie for mum and dad up in the master bedroom with a nice mirrored splashback wall and a really nice vanity. That stone vanity, I think, is just beautiful. But otherwise, the bathroom is pretty simple. It's got everything you need in there and looks out on a nice vista if you are having a bath. And what are we doing now? We're in the office. Sorry, just stretching my back. The office. God, talking for half an hour is a long time. I hope you're not sick of hearing me talking. But anyway, if you're not and you're still here, thank you for coming on this journey with me. We're in the office now. We are going for more of a sort of like executive vibe in here. it is a little bit messier. We've got a few awards. I feel like you would be someone that has awards if you have enough money to have a house like this. So I didn't skimp on cluttering up that executive office in there. And otherwise upstairs, it's just the family room. I imagined when I was building this that the downstairs zone would be like when the guests come over and you can't put your feet on that couch without mum getting real pissed at you. And it's all shoe off downstairs, and that's where all the cocktail parties are and blah, blah, blah. And then upstairs is where the family actually hangs out. Like they've got a big dollhouse for the kids there. And then the rest of the space, I've got some darts, a foosball table, huge TV, and all that jazz. So it's just like the hangout retreat, the teen zone, the whatever. So I think it's really cute. I'd love to have a space like that, or have a house big enough to have a dedicated sort of teen hangout family room zone, other than your formal zone. We can dream. Let's manifest that together, shall we? And otherwise upstairs, I've also got a little outdoor area, cute little same table and chairs I've used out the front where the barbecue area is, in the same color. Again, that's from Perfect Patio Set. So get that set. It's rad, that stuff pack. And then on this balcony, I've just got some cute little lounge chairs and some little plants and whatnot. And guys, I think that's it. We've done it. So now that all that's left is just the front gate, I've literally just changed it to something a bit more modern, and I've removed that like trim which has little windows on it around the whole house, and just replaced it to something flat. And I've literally just taken all of those plants from the walkway center and moved them out the front because it just was a bit too busy in that little walkway. I wanted to strip it back and make it a little bit more plain. So it's just the palm trees and the like Hawaiian shrub on the floor there. And then all of those additional little tropical plants I've brought out the front as like a really cute little front gate, sort of framing the front gate. And I do wrap the entire house in those hedges, my favorite plant of all time from the game. Like, I need to stop using them as much as I do because I just live for those hedges. I love them. And otherwise, I'm just putting a couple more sitting little lounge chairs out the front here, and that's it. It's going to take you guys through to the screenshots in a minute and a bit of a fly through of the house. I really hope you enjoy it. I had so much fun building it. For the next video, I do have a starter home, which is the complete opposite of this house. So stay tuned for that. If you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'd love to see more of you guys here, and I want to improve and give you what you want to see. So feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.